Halo, halo, halo. Dear students, good morning to all of you. I hope you are enjoying recognition of their lectures. This very important subject, not only practical point of view, but also everyone must know the international affairs regarding trade law. And in this field, very few professors have lectures on this. So, we have invited our Professor Hassan Garu to address our students. So, this professor will be visiting once in 6 months. So, the next and he will be giving lectures to you both on international trade and also next time on banking law. He is very expert in banking law and company law. So, kindly, students, be seated and maintain high silence. And I request the law of the students, students, don't anything is power. This maintain as it is, don't touch the AC, so it will get spoiled. Then you can't do it. So I request to start this lecture. Thank you, thank you.
देखिए ना there was not necessary. This is pendrive only. Pendrive only. Hello, 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 hello. Shall I take it now? Okay. లేదా ఓకే మరి ఎట్లా ఆ వెబ్సైట్ దానిలో ఇక్కడ నుంచి తీసుకొని దానిలో మాట్లాడదాం ఆ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ లో ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ దీనిలోనే ఓకే అండర్స్టాండ్ నా రూమ్లో ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంది ఆ ల్యాప్టాప్ లోంచి ఆ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ లోంచి ఈ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ లోంచి ఆ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ లోకి వేసి అది పెన్ డ్రైవ్ ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటాం. అండర్స్టాండ్? అండర్స్టాండ్. ల్యాప్టాప్ లేదు మీ దగ్గర? నా దగ్గర ఉంది కదా చిన్న. నా దగ్గర ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంది, పెన్ డ్రైవ్ ఉంది. ఇక్కడ దీనిలో ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ దానిలో కాపీ చేసేసి ఇక్కడ వేసాను. ఆ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటాను. నేను రానా? నేను రావాలి కదా, నీకు ఎట్లా తెలుస్తుంది? ల్యాప్టాప్ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ కూడా పెన్ డ్రైవ్ బ్యాగ్ లో ఉంది, మీకు కనపడదు. నేను వస్తాను. 1 minute. Please listen. Hello, please listen. Good morning, friends. Sort of interruption, 5 minutes. Please bear with us. We will transfer the information, whatever I want to share, into the computer, then we will start. Only 5 minutes delay. For that, I regret for the inconvenience. Please bear with us. Okay, thank you. అది కాదు, కిందది WTO. అన్ని కూడా yes. WTO. WTO. ओके अट्ला समझ में आया ఫోల్డర్లో లేవు అదే అంతేనా, వేరే వేరేగా ఉన్నాయా?
వేరే వేరే బయట ఉంది.
PPTs బయట ఉంది. ఓకే ఇది ఫస్ట్. ఓకే ఓకే నో ప్రాబ్లం. నేను వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు నాకు లింక్స్ ఎక్కడ ఉన్నాయో నాకు చెప్పాలి, నేను కూడా చూస్తా వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత. హౌ హౌ బెస్ట్ ఐ హ్యావ్ డన్ ఇట్, హౌ బ్యాడ్ ఐ హ్యావ్ డన్ ఇట్. అయితే ఒక ఫోల్డర్లో ఉంటే నాకు ఈజీ అయిపోద్ది ఓపెన్ చేయండి. నాకు వస్తే మాట్లాడటానికి ఇబ్బంది ఉంది. కొంచెం వేడంగా బస్ బస్ ఇది ఆన్లో ఉందా ఇప్పుడు? హలో ఫ్రెండ్స్, గుడ్ మార్నింగ్. Please turn this side. Let us start this session. Already some delay. And immediately we start this session. This session is about WTO law. Law on WTO, World Trade Organization. You must have heard something about World Trade Organization already. Before this session starts, you must have heard something about World Trade Organization through newspapers, through magazines, through other communications. Today we are going to learn what is the legal basis of WTO. What is the legal basis of WTO? What is the structure of WTO? And how the trade disputes shall be resolved in WTO. This is the area going to be covered from 10 o'clock. Now the time is 10:30, and from now onwards we are going to continue this session with a little break, with a small break up to 1 o'clock. So the first session is about the WTO system. WTO trading system. It's not a political system, it's not an economic system, but it's a trade system, trading system under WTO. WTO stands for the World Trade Organization. You are aware of this. Okay. Now, so what is WTO? It is there on the slide. WTO is a global organization. Not only a global organization, it's an international organization. Like United Nations organization, WTO is also a global organization, international organization. The basic primary job of WTO is to deal with the rules of trading between countries. Countries also indirectly, not directly, countries also indirectly trade with each other. So based upon certain rules and regulations. WTO deals with the rules and regulations where the countries trade between themselves or among themselves. So whatever trade happens between countries, that is called public trade. WTO deals with the rules and regulations, rules of trade between countries, between two states, between two nations, not between two individuals, not between two organizations, not between two enterprises, but it is a trade between country to country. Suna, trade between country to country. That is the purpose of, that is the basic job and purpose of WTO, establishment of WTO. WTO is the only organization monitoring the rules of trade between countries. No other organization, listen carefully, no other organization deals with the trade matters between countries. This is the only institution, this is the only organization which deals with the rules of trade between nations or between countries. The special characteristic of WTO is the agreements. There are several agreements concluded, signed by countries during the last round of trade negotiations, that is called Uruguay round of trade negotiations. That is the 8th round of trade negotiations, continued for 8 years, 8 long years. The trade negotiations started in the year 1886 and by December 31st, 1994. 31st December 1994. कहाँ से कब तक 86 to 1994 December. It's not a very long negotiation, long negotiations. All trade negotiations will take this much of time. It's not easy to negotiate with the other country on trade matters. Very tough negotiations hota hai. That's why so much time will be consumed by the trade negotiations. So WTO also came into existence, came into operation after tough negotiations of 8 years, long period. 1994 to 31st December 1994. From 1st January 1995 onwards, WTO came into operation in place of GATT. Before WTO, GATT was in existence. GATT was established immediately or just before the end of the Second World War. So as a stopgap arrangement, as a temporary arrangement to monitor the trade between two countries. So this is the purpose of establishment of GATT. GATT is only a general agreement. It's only a temporary arrangement, provisional arrangement between countries before the end of the Second World War. Because why it is some temporary arrangement? All the countries, they assembled together. They wanted to establish a trade organization on permanent basis. For reasons not material to us, they couldn't come to an understanding to establish a trade organization on permanent basis. That's why hurriedly all the countries, they signed an agreement as a stopgap arrangement in the year 1947 or 48. So since then, immediately GATT came into existence with only 19 members as signatories. Only 19 members as signatories. India is the original signatory, founding signatory of GATT 1947. So subsequently, GATT, even if it's it's only a temporary arrangement, stopgap arrangement, it did a brilliant work in trade matters, especially in reducing or in lifting up the trade barriers, and ultimately it was successful organization. Even if it's a temporary organization, it did wonderful job. It did a wonderful job, GATT. So at the end of 1994, so all countries came together. They came to a consensus. They wanted to establish an organization on permanent basis. That is how the WTO came into existence, replacing GATT. Whatever job GATT was doing, whatever philosophy GATT preaches, the same philosophy is inherited by WTO also. Nothing. What is the philosophy of GATT? We will come to know. We will learn it in this session in the coming slides. So WTO, the special characteristic of WTO is the various agreements signed by all countries. All countries means WTO members. Kitna members hai? How many members are there in WTO? 165 members as of today. 165 countries are member countries in WTO. All the 165 countries, they signed these agreements and they became members. They have ratified these agreements and ultimately they became binding commitments to all countries, including India. India is also a member country, a founding member, one of the founding members of WTO. So next slide. No. Where from? Okay. So this WTO is situated in Switzerland, Geneva. Geneva is the capital of Switzerland. It's headquartered in Switzerland, Geneva, and it came into operation on 1st January 1994 onwards, and it came into existence by the end of the Uruguay round of trade negotiations. Uruguay round of trade negotiations occurred between 1986 and 1994. So as of now, 164 countries are the members, and its budget is very huge budget, nearly 200 million Swiss francs by 2019-99. And secretariat staff, it is the WTO office secretariat is manned by nearly more than 625 people, and its head is presently a woman director general. WTO, listen carefully, girls. So this is headed by a woman director. 2 years back, she took charge from Mr. Alexander, I said which name hai, and she is a Kenyan birth. Kenya is their African country. She is doctorate in trade law. She became the Director General of WTO organization. This is the potential of international trade law. So you too can dream, not a big thing. Dreaming is a big thing. Dream big, grow big. That is my philosophy and my advice to all of you, especially for girls. You can do things, you can do wonders. That's the problem. That's the possibility. So next one is about, this is the goal of WTO. WTO is established for two purposes: for the benefit of all people, especially for the benefit of producers of goods and services. Some people will produce goods and services. It's established basically primarily for the benefit of producers of goods and services. It also established for the purpose of, or for the benefit of exporters and importers, with the goal. What is the goal? Goal is given. What is the goal? Goal is given: opening of trade. The field of trade must be open to all people. Why trade should be open to all people? Because trade benefits everybody, every time, every minute. So now, trade is potential. As long as trade is there, countries will flourish. If countries will flourish, individuals will flourish. If individuals will flourish, their families will flourish. This is a chain. It's a chain like this. This development happens only with the growth of trade. When the trade is accessible to all people in the world. This is the purpose of the establishment of WTO. The purpose is, once again read, opening of trade, the field of trade, for the benefit of all people in the world across all countries. This is the basic philosophy and purpose of what job WTO will do. These are the jobs WTO will do. The first job is it administers WTO trade agreements. So how many agreements are there? Any idea? So many varieties of agreements are there on different subjects. 60 agreements are there WTO. Give me these names of some agreements at least. Agreement on agriculture, agreement on goods, agreement on services, agreement on government procurement, agreement on subsidies and countervailing duties, agreement on SPS. SPS means sanitary and phytosanitary measures, agreement on technical barriers to trade, agreement on intellectual property rights, so many varieties of agreement on bovine meat. So cow meat is also an international subject. Selling of cow meat. So we oppose here in India. We stoutly oppose eating of meat. But all countries, all people, all countries, they eat meat only. No vegetarian food, no vegetarian diet, except India. So we oppose it. But we are a signatory to the cow meat agreement. समझ में आया? Cow meat agreement. Agreement on bovine meat. Bovine means is cow. Dictionary meaning cow meat. It's also saleable commodity. It's a commercial commodity. Cow meat is also a commercial commodity. So therefore, the basic purpose, the basic job of WTO is it administers all the trade agreements. 60 trade agreements concluded, signed by 165 countries, 165 member countries. That is the first job. Administering means, what do you mean by administering of agreements? What do you mean by administering of agreements? That means it monitors. WTO monitors whether a particular country is sticking to its commitments or not, international commitments. All these 165 countries, they committed themselves, they will follow the rules of WTO. They follow the philosophy of WTO. So that's why it's a monitoring, administering. WTO is monitoring whether India is sticking to its commitments or not, whether Pakistan is sticking to the commitments given by the government or not, whether Russia is sticking to the government, sticking to its commitments or not. It monitors, it administers all the 60 agreements. This is the primary job of WTO. Apart from primary job, it's also a forum for trade negotiations. When trade negotiations happen, the trade negotiations will take place at the headquarters of WTO. If not at the headquarters of the WTO, at a particular center agreed upon by all the countries by consensus. So therefore, all the 8 trade negotiations, till now, there are 8 rounds of trade negotiations took place. The last one is the 8th round of trade negotiation. That's called Uruguay round of trade negotiations, 1986 to 1994. It happened, the last round took place at Uruguay. Uruguay is a South American, Latin American country. In Uruguay. So Uruguay is a country both as well as capital, it seems, to my knowledge. So therefore, Uruguay is a place in South American continent, which is otherwise called Latin American continent. So it is therefore it acts as a forum. WTO acts as a forum for trade negotiations frequently taking place from time to time. Apart from that, it handles trade disputes. The third job of WTO is it's also a forum for resolution of trade disputes. Resolution of trade disputes through what? There is a body, specialized body in WTO. That body is called Trade Dispute Mechanism. Trade Disputes Mechanism. So through the trade disputes body, dispute settlement body. Sorry, dispute settlement body is there in WTO. Through dispute settlement body, trade disputes will be resolved. It helps the country. WTO helps the countries, disputant countries, to settle their disputes amicably without contest, through negotiations, through consultations, through mediations, through arbitration and other informal processes. Then the fourth one is it monitors national trade policies. Regularly, WTO monitors the policy of each and every country, all the member states. It's a regular exercise. It's a continuing exercise monitoring the trade policy of India, trade policy of other countries, all 165 countries. Remember, all countries will have different policies. Every country, department-wise, they will have different policies. We have education policy framed by education department. We have chemical policy. We have commercial policy. We have trade policy. We have foreign trade policy. We have some other technical policy. So many policies are there. Textile policy. So every country will have various varieties of policies will be there department-wise. So the job of the WTO is it continuously monitors the trade policy and commercial policy of each and every country. Whether the policy, national policy of a particular country, whether it is in tune with the WTO trade philosophy or not. It compares whether India's trade policy is in conformity with WTO philosophy or not. If India doesn't follow the trade philosophy of WTO, then it will ask the Indian government to change it according to the WTO philosophy. So this is how the trade policy of all countries shall be monitored by WTO by way of trade review. That's called trade review. So each country's trade policy will be reviewed at WTO. So this is the fourth job. And apart from this, it also extends technical assistance and training for developing countries. So 3/4 of the countries, nearly we have 200 countries. Out of the 300 countries, 3/4 countries are developing countries, and most of them are least developed countries. No paisa, समझ में आया? No paisa, no education, no technology, no jobs, no food. All these things are there. We are not only the poor country; other countries are also equally poor, and all countries, 3/4 countries are. So WTO extends assistance to them, to all the developing countries, to the least developed countries, by extending technical assistance. What do you mean by technical assistance? What do you mean by technical assistance? Because they do not know, they do not have knowledge how to commit themselves, how to comply with the WTO commitments. It will help the WTO will help them to comply with the rules and regulations of WTO. Not only to adopt the technical advancements taking place at various countries or in various developed countries. Developed countries are much advanced state. So these countries will not be able to cope up with that pressure. So therefore government, WTO will extend technical assistance to all these poor countries, developing countries and least developed countries. This is also one of the primary jobs of WTO. Apart from that, cooperation with international organizations. WTO itself is an international organization. Being an international organization, it will coordinate and cooperate with other international organizations. What are the other international organizations? Give me some examples, name some examples of international organizations. United Nations organization is an international organization. So what are the Indian International Maritime Organization in international organization? International Labour Organization is an international organization. So UPU, United Postal Union. United Postal Union is an international organization. Food and Agricultural Organization in international organization. I said thousands of organizations are there. International organizations. With all these international organizations, WTO will coordinate, will cooperate with all these organizations, frame policies commonly, uniformly applicable to all people like you and me. Ultimately, UNESCO is an international organization. So therefore, all these international organizations working in tandem with each other. Ultimately, we are the beneficiary for the benefit of all people like you and me. This is the purpose of establishment of United Nations organization, especially trade organization like WTO. समझ में आया? Yes, yes. Who will run the WTO? There is no government at WTO. Who will run the government in India? Suppose take for example, in India we have a government running all of us running India. But at the international level there is no government at all. Who will run the WTO? So WTO will be run by member governments. You see this name is member governments. All member governments together. All the member governments together will run WTO, trade organization. So apart from that, all major decisions at WTO shall be taken by the membership as a whole, by the members as a whole. All members together will take all decisions by consensus, not by imposition. समझ में आया? Not by imposing things compulsorily, by consensus, by the mutual consent of every country. Decisions will be taken at WTO by consensus. Apart from that, who will take decisions? Who will take decisions? There are two varieties of people. First one is ministers. Ministers means commerce minister of that particular member country. And second one is by the ambassadors and delegates on behalf of the country. These people assemble together at the headquarters of WTO Geneva. They frequently meet, they frequently assemble, they come to an understanding, they frame trade rules applicable uniformly to all countries. So first one is, who are the first ministers? He is the minister. Commerce minister, mostly commerce minister. Who is the commerce minister of India? Piyush Goyal. So he frequently travels to WTO, participates in the ministerial conferences, and also he participates on behalf of India. Other officers will also participate regularly, interact with WTO officers regularly, WTO secretariat regularly. Who are those people? Ambassadors are there in all countries, Indian ambassadors are there, Indian high commissioners are there. Those people will do the routine job on behalf of India. They attend the routine matters, and minister will attend only major decisions के लिए. At least once in every 2 years. Once in 2 years he will participate in ministerial conferences. बाकी का काम, the rest of the work, routine work will be handled by lower people, lower officers or executives on behalf of India. On behalf of all countries like this only. Next one. So this is first. One more thing is, as far as structure of WTO is concerned, there are three bodies. Only three bodies. The first body is Ministerial Conference. The second body is General Council. The third body is Dispute Settlement Body. There are only three structure-wise. WTO is divided into three parts. The first part is Ministerial Conference. What is Ministerial Conference? Who will sit in the Ministerial Conference? All these things are there in this. Ministerial Conference is the highest body, just like Assembly. Kerala Assembly, Tamil Nadu Assembly, all the members sit in the Assembly. समझ में आया? All the members participate in the discussions taking place in assembly, in the parliament. Likewise, this is the parliament for all countries. All the countries, 165 members, they sit in the, they participate in the decision making taking place in the ministerial conference. Ministerial conference is usually attended by the ministers, commerce ministers of all 165 people. It's composed of representative of all WTO members. Ministerial conference is required to meet at least once in 2 years, not regularly, just like parliament. Parliament में क्या होता है? Winter session होता है, some other session, rainy session होता है. Not regularly, parliament will meet not regularly. Only cabinet will function regularly on behalf of the parliament. Whatever decision taken by the parliament, what are those decisions shall be implemented, enforced by the cabinet through departments, through various departments. The same thing happens here also. The highest body is ministerial conference, like the parliament of a country. So decisions, broad decisions will be taken at ministerial conference. So ministerial conference will not frequently assemble, but at least only once, or at least every 2 years it will attend. Only two times it will attend in 2 years. So next week it will take decisions on all matters on any of the multilateral trade agreements. So because it is this highest body, ministerial conference being the highest body, it can take decisions on all matters affecting trade between two nations, between two countries. So this is about ministerial conference, the first body of WTO, in the structure of WTO. The second one is General Council. Second highest body is General Council, like cabinet ministers, like a cabinet of a particular state or a particular country. Cabinet name, some ministers will be there. Not all members of the assembly will become cabinet members. Only limited people will be given additional job, ministerial job. They take up the assignment of ministership and they do the things through the departments, concerned departments. So this is how government functions. Here also, this is the second highest body. This is also decision making body. Governing council is also decision making body. And all the WTO members again are members of governing council. But its job is, it will attend day-to-day work. Here, it will attend day-to-day work, routine work. Whatever job assigned by ministerial conference, it will implement that job. Governing council is an executing body. Executing body, it will execute, implement the decision taken by the ministerial conference, along with other subsidy bodies. There are so many subsidiary bodies, and through subsidiary bodies, that means through various departments, the governing council shall implement all the decisions taken by the ministerial conference. So General Council, because it is working under the ministerial conference, it will report regularly to the ministerial conference whatever actions it has taken, whatever decisions it has implemented. Regularly, the report on the implementation shall be submitted by the General Council to the ministerial conference. So this is about the General Council. General Council is also is a convener of two important forums. The first one is, it's also convener of dispute settlement body, DSB, dispute settlement body. It's also a convener of trade policy review. These are the two important bodies functioning within the WTO system, WTO trade regime. So these are the two governing council in addition to implementing day-to-day decisions of WTO ministerial conference. It also discharges functions as a convener of the dispute settlement body. Second one is convener of trade review body. This is briefly about governing council. Let us go to the third structure. This third structure. This is, what are the other structures? Let us see. So these are the subsidiary bodies of WTO. Apart from ministerial conference and governing council, These are the subsidiary bodies. What are the, how many are there? 3 are there. The first one is Council for Trade in Goods. Second one is Trade in Services, Council for Trade in Services. And third one is trade related aspects of intellectual property. So these are the 3 subsidiary committees, but major committees, major councils working within the WTO system. Apart from these 3 major committees or major councils, there are other subsidiary committees. These are the other subsidiary committees. So these are like working like departments. Ministry is there, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Finance. So उसके अंदर क्या होता है? Various departments होता है. Department of Financial Services, Department of Economic Services. ऐसा एक ही डिपार्टमेंट में बहुत सारे डिविजन्स होता है. Similarly here also the main body is Ministerial Conference. Next one is Governing Council. Within the Governing Council there are several divisions or several subsidiary bodies. These are the subsidiary bodies. What are the names of the subsidiary bodies? Committee on Trade and Development, Committee on Balance of Payments, Committee on Budget. Budget के लिए भी separate committee is there. To streamline the budget issues, there is a separate committee called Committee on Budget. Small departments will be there, small divisions will be there. Like that, the whole WTO will function. Like a small organization, take for example this college itself. Who is the top man? Tipareddy sir is the top man. उसके अंदर principal के अंदर lecturers के अंदर so many departments attached to them. So उसको help करने के लिए office is there, secretariat is there. Secretariat will implement the decision taken by the highest people sitting in the college. The same way it works, WTO also works. No difference at all. No difference. Hierarchy is the same hierarchy from top to bottom. How to contribute the common goodwill? Common WTO works for the benefit of all people, all sections of people. So first section is, it will help the producers. It will help the producers to secure supplies of raw materials. It's the friend of producers. Anything? Which problem है? Hello, any problem? Hello, please turn this side. Don't engage yourself in speaking. And this is how the WTO contributes to the benefit of all sections of people. The first beneficiary is producers community, manufacturers community. So they will manufacture goods with secure supplies of raw materials. WTO also works for the consumers, for the benefit of consumers. Consumers will enjoy greater choice of finished products. So because of the liberalization policy, nowadays it is possible for a consumer to get goods from other countries very easily. Suppose to take for example the Star Bazaar. Ahmedabad, there is a supermarket called Star Bazaar, managed by Tata Group of companies. Every Sunday I go there to Star Bazaar. I find to my surprise 15 varieties of apples will be there available. 15 varieties of apples from different countries. We get from Star Bazaar fresh apples. Similarly, oranges. Varieties of oranges coming from different countries. Because of liberalization, because of opening of trade to all people, this is happening. Otherwise, at one time, all the economies of all countries, they were closed to the outsiders. At one time, India also, nobody was allowed, no foreigner was allowed to come to India to trade within Indian market. So the same position with other countries also before 1947. So 1947 onwards, with the establishment of GATT, the economies of all countries, markets were open for other people, countries of other people. That's why we are able to get foreign clothes, foreign apparels, foreign oranges, foreign apples, and foreign other commodities. Very quality commodities or quality goods at less prices, at competitive prices. That's the benefit of consumers. Because this happens only because of liberalization. Liberalization is the basic philosophy of WTO and GATT. Liberalization of economy is the basic philosophy of WTO and GATT. Because of opening of the markets, everything is possible. People are benefited, consumers are benefited. They are able to choose both sort of varieties of goods at low prices, at less prices. In that way, consumers also will be benefited by the advent of WTO, by the establishment of WTO. Apart from that, it also helps the exporters and importers. WTO also exporters and importers. So they help the exporting business. Importing business is not an easy thing. You have to comply many formalities while exporting goods or importing goods. WTO as an international organization, trading organization. It supports the exporters and importers also. So in that way, all these things are done by the WTO. All these things are done by the WTO. This is the basic job, primary job of WTO. It's established for the benefit of all sections of people in all countries. That's why trade is flourishing. India also, to some extent, enjoyed the growth story. It also enjoyed the growth story. Indian economy grew by 9% at one time. At one time, it grew by 9% every year annually. Now it is reduced to minimum level. So therefore, the establishment of the WTO contribute to the common good of all people in all countries. So now, common good of all people in all countries. This is the purpose, salutary purpose of the establishment of WTO. What is the problem? So ultimately, no. So that's why, in that way, the establishment of WTO contribute to the prosperous, peaceful, and accountable economic world. So ultimately, people will be benefited. Common benefit of all people. This is the purpose of the establishment of WTO. So next one is, it's a global trade organization. WTO works mostly, not mostly, all times, by consensus only. By consensus, mutual consent and mutual consensus. No imposition of any rules on anybody. By discussions, negotiations, consultations, and ultimately through consultations and negotiations, people or countries reach to an understanding. Based upon the understanding, the WTO will function. That is what it says. WTO advocates decisions in the WTO are to be taken consensus among all the members. They are subsequently ratified by all the members of by their parliaments. This is how. So therefore, no question of friction in the WTO, because all the decisions are taken by consensus. No question of friction between countries. Everything will be mutual consent, consultations, negotiations. No, not by contest, not by heated arguments. समझ में आया? So arguments will not fetch you, will not lead you to anywhere. Only through negotiations, consultations, speaking with each other, things are possible by peaceful means. That is the basic philosophy of WTO. So ultimately, again, one more important philosophy of WTO is lowering of trade barriers. So there are so many barriers created by all countries during the First World War and Second World War. All these barriers act against the interest of every country, including India. Indian economy was also, until 1991, it was a closed economy. India was not allowing any foreigner to come to India to do business, to trade business in India, in the Indian market. India was also a closed economy. All countries did the same thing. So because if all countries closed their economies, what will happen? What would be the result? Because no trade.
because I am not allowing your tradesmen to come to my country. You are not allowing my tradesmen to come to your country. Where no interaction is there, naturally, limited income, limited revenue to the people, limited income to the revenue government, ultimately no business, no employment, no. People starve hungry. People starved with hunger. So that was the result after the Second World War. All countries confused naturally. It's a worrying factor. It's a worrisome factor. Therefore, all countries came together. They sat at one place, ultimately realized the mistake of closing the economies, and they understood that trade alone can bring the countries back to prosperity. Back to prosperity. That's why every country accepted. Every country is advocating now free trade. समझ में आया? Free trade without restrictions, without barriers. Trade must be allowed to go freely, smoothly, without creating any barriers to trade. Wherever trade is there, automatically prosperity will be there. Fast growth will be there, rapid growth will be there. That is what the philosophy is behind the establishment of WTO. In that way, to bring the all countries to have access to the trade, what the countries are asked to do, lift the barriers, remove the trade barriers already created. What are the barriers to trade? What are the barriers to trade? Tell me. So many barriers are created. Trade was not allowed to go on. So countries closed their economies. So in that way, no income for the countries, no prosperity, no jobs. Ultimately, all families die with hunger. That happened during the Second World War, First World War. So countries realized their mistake. They don't want to repeat it again. That's what they did. They wanted the economies to open for all people, for all countries. That is the basic philosophy of WTO, establishment of WTO. So every country is asked to remove the trade barriers. Now my question is, what is a trade barrier? The barrier, it doesn't allow the trade to go forward. What are such barriers? You give me some names of the barriers. Tariffs. Tariff is a barrier. Then quotas is a trade barrier, and subsidies is a trade barrier. Quota is a trade barrier. Tariff is a trade barrier, and others.
Restrictions on some good commodities.
Yes, any kind of restriction is a barrier. So all these barriers were imposed by all countries during the First World War and Second World War. Countries realized their mistakes, all countries. Countries realized their mistakes. So ultimately they realized that trade must be open to all people. That's the basic philosophy of establishment of GATT, as well as, so basic philosophy of GATT as well as WTO is free trade, trade without discrimination. These are the two basic principles of GATT and WTO. Trade, repeat it again, I am repeating. Trade without discrimination. Trade without discrimination, free trade are both the basic philosophies of WTO and GATT. So let us see other things also. It seems you are following me quite well. So this is this special characteristic of WTO of various agreements. I gave the names of various agreements. 60 agreements are there signed by all countries, 165 countries. I gave the names of some agreements just now in the beginning of the session. So all these 60 agreements are administered by WTO. These agreements are the legal foundations of the WTO system. They are the legal foundations of global trade. Global trade. This is the philosophy. What is the philosophy? I will give you the best quote. Trade benefits everybody, every time, every minute, everywhere. Now, trade benefits everybody, every time, everybody, every minute, every time. It will never allow you to fall down. As long as trade is there, prosperity will be there. If prosperity will be there, you will be benefited, I will be benefited, individual will be benefited. That is the basic philosophy of WTO. So all these agreements concluded, signed by all states, they are the foundations, legal foundations of the WTO, global trade. So we go to the second one. I close this. Trade negotiations I will do. I don't deal with it. Hmm? Okay, I will do. I will do. WTO system. हो गए just now. Obligations of CIDC. ఇంకా అదర్ వేరే టాపిక్స్ ఉండాలి దీనిలోనే. ఓకే ఓకే తీసుకో ఓకే హలో లెట్ us have some break. Okay, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Come back now. Time is 26. 11:26 by 11:40. Be back here. Be back here. Thank you very much. WTO कहाँ है? అది వేరుగా ఉన్నట్టుంది. This is. I don't want to come there. Ani chalega. If anybody brings it here, I will feel it on it. Huh? Okay. हाँ, principles. हाँ, okay, बस. No problem. No. మీరు తీసుకురావద్దు. ఓకే. PPTs दे दूंगा at the end of this session. Okay. Submit.
Very dynamically.
I'm 68, 65.
Great.
I am a bank officer.
Not only the state.
Yes, I can teach anything. Yes, I attended only in village. My name is G.V. Narasimha. I belong to Andhra, but settled in Gujarat. So 25 years हो गए उधर जाके.
So not interpreting even Telugu.
Age 64 completed, now 65.
Age is only numbers.
Thank you.
You are from belongs to which college?
Tenali. I am working presently after retirement as a professor full time in Gujarat Maritime University. Gujarat Maritime University is a government supported university. So all aided university, but it is registered as a private institution like this, but full funds will come from the government. ऐसा है. I joined there as a full-time professor on contract basis.
Actually, we are from Chennai, sir. After completing the LLB,
Yes. That's what I am going to tell you. Campus में रहना पड़ता है. It's a residential course.
can we get any kind of scholarship, sir?
No scholarship.
Scholarship.
No scholarships, but you have to spend from your pocket, but that degree works. Because no university is offering specialized courses like this. Indian maritime, international maritime law, India में कोई university offer करता ही नहीं. Not only that, international trade law. You get LLM in international trade law, full-fledged degree.
Actually, I have a question. We said Vienna Convention. India is not following the
Not signed the agreement.
not signed the Vienna Convention, but we researching and studying the Vienna Convention. So what is the purpose of the
Convention.
yes?
So
is there, for example,
which one?
For
Government policy. They are not revealing why they are not signing. So unless they reveal why they are not signing, we cannot presume
they
things.
started 1980, but still the year is 2000.
They are not ready to sign. Even BJP government, Congress government. So without signing also purpose. No, that's the reason they are not signing. If it's a disadvantage, they would have signed it. Because even without signing it also, our business people will go to other countries. Other countries business people come here. They are entering into agreements. Everything happening. Even without signing an agreement, why should I go and sign it? Commit myself. Without committing also, I can. No special benefit. That's why government is not signing. Practical view. That is practical view.
They are not getting any kind
मेरा काम हो जाता है without signing it. Why should I go and commit myself and
Yeah, that is correct. They don't get any kind of benefits. So there is no.
maybe that is the reason. No policy is there. That is the reason.
Seriously, my experience, age doesn't matter. I will see you.
Okay, thank you. One day, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. నాకు ఇప్పుడు మీరు లైవ్ చేసేస్తున్నారు కదా, ఇట్ విల్ గో టు ఆల్ ది ప్లేసెస్.
నో సార్, ఓన్లీ లైవ్ జరిగిన తర్వాత దాన్ని డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత అప్లోడ్ చేస్తాం.
అప్పుడు ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తుంది? అప్పుడు ఎవరన్నా సపోజ్ బయట వాళ్ళు, కాలేజ్ వాళ్ళు కాకుండా బయట వాళ్ళు చూడాలంటే చూడొచ్చు కదా యూట్యూబ్ నుంచి. నాకు అప్లోడ్ చేసినప్పుడు నాకు ఆ వివరాలు పంపితే ఐ కెన్ షేర్ దోస్ థింగ్స్ విత్ మై స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆల్సో. తిప్పారెడ్డి. Okay, shall we start? Okay. नहीं. Hello, friends. Friends, friends, let us come. Come back. Let us start. Come back, please. Come back. Settle yourself. Settle yourself down. Hello. Vamos. Friends, friends, come, come. Come quickly. The second session, please, please settle yourself up. No, no, no. Hello, friends, friends, listen to me. Please settle yourself quickly so that we can commence the session without wasting time. Time is gold. No, time is gold. Let us not waste time. We indulge in wasting of time. We Indians are. It's a habit for all the Indians. This also you close that. Oh. The second topic I am going to commence in this session is principles of trading in WTO or under WTO. There are certain common principles under the WTO regime. Actually, just now I told before the conclusion of the first session that all the agreements, 60 agreements concluded by WTO is the legal basis of WTO system. Even though all these 60 agreements are on diverse subjects, one has nothing to do with other. The agreement on agriculture has nothing to do with the agreement on services. The agreement on goods has nothing to do with goods on services. The agreement on bovine meat has nothing to do with other textile agreement. All agreements are diverse in nature. They are different. The subject matter of all these agreements is different from other agreements. Still, there are some common principles in all these agreements. Based upon this common principle, they are fundamental to the WTO system. Because they are fundamental to the WTO system, all these principles are very primary in nature, fundamental in nature, common and uniform in all these agreements, even if each agreement is diverse with the other agreement. Each agreement has nothing to do with the other agreement, but there are certain common principles. These common principles will pass through all the 60 agreements. That's why I am going to give you these six common principles which are present in all these 60 agreements of WTO. Not many principles, only 5-6 principles are there which are common, which are uniform in all the 60 agreements. That's why they are fundamental to the very system, WTO system. Let us see one by one what these principles, each of these principles will speak about. So the first thing is, you see these many agreements are there. Some, again I am repeating, so many agreements are there, varieties of agreements on different subjects. So you read the varieties of agreements. So some agreements are there, agreement on goods, agreement on services, agreement on intellectual property, agreement on agriculture, agreement on textile and clothing, agreement on international banking, agreement on telecommunications, agreement on government procurement, agreement on sanitary and phytosanitary measures, agreement on subsidies and countervailing duties. All these are varieties of agreement. One has nothing to do with the other. Still, there are certain common principles in all these agreements, 60 agreements, passing through these 60 agreements. Let us see one by one what these principles are in all these 60 agreements. The first one is trade without discrimination. So the principle is trade without discrimination. All the countries are equal in matters of trade. No superiority, no distinction between a rich country and a poor country. No distinction, no discrimination between a landlocked country, between a coastal country, between a small state and a big state. Size doesn't matter. The situation of the countries doesn't matter. Only thing matters is without discrimination. Trade must happen between all countries without discrimination. So this principle is there. You must have studied this principle in constitutional law. What the Constitution says under Article 14 of Indian Constitution, what it says? Equality before law, equal protection of law. The same principle in different name here. Here we call it trade without discrimination. Then under constitutional law we call it equality before law and equal protection of law. So how this happens? Without discrimination, how this happens? Trade matters. So by two principles. What are those principles? Through two important principles. What are those two important principles? By most favored nation treatment. The second one is by national treatment. Two principles are there, principles of treatment. First principle is most favored nation treatment. And second principle is national treatment principle. By adopting these two principles, we can bring about equality among all people. That is how these two principles work. So these two principles are well known as principles of non-discrimination. So principles of non-discrimination. What are those principles? Most favored nation treatment. Second one is national treatment principles. These two principles will contribute. They are mechanism to bring about equality within all countries. For all countries, equality is important. No discrimination in trade matters. Trade must go on without discrimination for the benefit of all countries, for the benefit of all people in all countries. That is the purpose and idea behind the establishment of the WTO. How trade happens without discrimination? I told you just now, by adopting two principles. The first principle is most favored nation treatment principle. The second principle is national treatment principle. What do you mean by most favored nation principle? How most favored nation principle will bring about or bring equality among traders, among business people. Similarly, how national treatment principle will bring equality, will contribute to the equality among traders. What is the distinction between the most favored nation principle and national treatment principle? It's a topic of research. It's a topic of research. You can do research. My topic in my PhD is most favored treatment on international trade agreements, and investment agreements. This is the exact area I wrote my thesis on most favored nation treatment in international trade agreements. That's why I am here in teaching full-time job even after retirement of 5 years. समझ में आया? So you have to do your PhD not in a subject which others do not adopt, others do not follow. So subjects which others do not touch, then only you get the benefit. You get the benefit for a long time. That's why don't choose the topic in an area where everybody will do. For example, constitutional law. Everybody writes thesis on constitutional law, constitutional subjects. No maja, because everybody do the same thing. So High Court judgments are available on the soft copies are available on the net. Supreme Court decisions are available on the net. वहां से कट पेस्ट करके इधर डालता है thesis में. No concrete work, no constructive work. That's why don't adopt those things. You choose an area which is not worked upon by others. Then you get the maja, you get the benefit for all time. So that's why I did this. Actually, my guy discouraged me when I asked him to give me some topic which is a good topic. He suggested me to go for some constitutional topic. I said I don't want to do anything in constitution. You give me some area in international trade and other things. He suggested me this topic, most favored nation treatment in international trade agreements with special reference to international investment agreements. This is the exact title of the thesis written by me and submitted to the Usman University, Hyderabad. So therefore, the first principle is trade without discrimination. Discrimination is prohibited in international trade matters, international relations. So just like we prohibit inequality in a society. So because of inequality only, equality before law, Article 14 is there in the Constitution. That inequality between countries, between communities is not acceptable. Social inequality, cultural inequality, economic inequality, they are not acceptable to any society, including Indian society. That's why we have adopted Article 14 in the Constitution, assuring to all people, all citizens of India, that everybody is equal before law and everybody gets the protection of law. The same way, all countries are assured in the trade matters that they are equal to other big countries. They are equal to wealthy countries. They are equal to some other rich countries. That kind of assurance is there by this principle, trade without discrimination. This assurance will be affected by two principles. Just now I told you, most favored nation treatment and national treatment. You explain to me, some of you or any of you, please explain to me what is most favored nation treatment, what is a national treatment, what is the basic distinction between national treatment and an international national treatment and most favored nation treatment. Tell me, try to interact with me. So you understand, you have to understand. You have to understand the distinction between the basic principle, trade without discrimination. Trade without discrimination will be given effect by these two principles, through these two principles. The first principle is most favored nation treatment. What is most favored nation treatment? He is most favored friend of me. He is most favored friend of me. So whatever benefit I give to him, whatever concession I give to him, all those concessions given to my most favored friend will be given to other friends also, others also equally. So therefore, all those people, they are equal to the status of my best friend, most favored friend. He is most favored for mine. That is the principle of most favored nation treatment. He is best friend to me. I like him very much. So I like him very much than others. That's why I call him, he is my most favored friend. I am giving, because he is my most favored friend, I am giving tax concessions, duty drawbacks, I am giving exemptions from taxes, all these things I give to him, benefits. So I am giving benefits to him. Naturally, others also, friends, they are in touch with me. They also expect the same kind of benefits, whatever I gave to my best friend. So I give them also, I give him also, I give him also, all became equal to him. समझ में आया? This happens when foreigners, this happens, most favored treatment happens when foreign traders come to India or come to or go to any place. So he comes with a product, for example, coffee. From Brazil he came from Mexico, he came from Russia, he came with coffee product, he came from other countries. All came to India with coffee product. So I gave him certain concessions to him as a foreign trader in India. So whatever concessions, tax concessions, benefits I gave to him, all those concessions unconditionally, unconditionally, without any request from others, I have to pass on these benefits to each and everyone, coffee traders. So all the coffee traders who are trading in India, they become equal. समझ में आया? I am treating all others as I am treating my best friend, most favored. समझ में आया? This is the most favored nation plan. It assures equality between foreign traders. But national treatment principle is different. So he is there. He is a domestic producer. He is manufacturing goods in India. So I gave some concessions to him, from exemptions from excise duty. I said to him, you need not pay excise duty. What is excise duty? What is excise duty? What is other local taxes? So many local taxes are there. I tell my friend, you need not pay all these things. Excise duty, no need to pay. Other local taxes, no need to pay. Then whatever benefits I give, from exemption I give to this friend, automatically to be extended to the foreign traders equal to domestic producers. They are also dealing in the same product, but they came from foreign countries. I gave to certain concessions to my domestic friend, internal friend, and whatever benefits I gave to him, all those benefits are to be given equal basis, equal footing to all the foreign traders also, to make him equal with the domestic friend. They are foreigners, he is an Indian. So the parity between foreigner, Indian producer is national treatment. And if I give equal treatment for all foreign people coming into India, that is the most favored nation. So therefore, in that way, all the business people, all the traders coming into a country, not only into a country, in India, they will be placed on equal footing without discrimination, without any discrimination, without any mistreatment. That is the purpose of the establishment of WTO. This is the cornerstone, basic principle of WTO as well as GATT. So you remember, the trade without discrimination is the first article in GATT. The very first article in GATT 1947 is most favored nation treatment. You can imagine the importance of most favored treatment by placing it in the very first article of GATT 1947. Now also, GATT 1994, Article 1 deals with most favored nation clause. Article 3 deals with national treatment clause. So therefore, in this way, by adopting these two principles, most favored nation treatment principle and national treatment principle, we can make all traders equal in a particular market, in a particular society. That is the first principle of WTO, inherited from GATT, inherited from General Agreement on So the second one, trade without free trade. Just now I told you, free trade is also a basic principle of WTO. Free trade means, what do you mean by free trade? Trade without restrictions. Trade without barriers is a free trade. So no quotas, no tariffs, no subsidies, no license system, no restrictions at all on trade. Trade must be allowed to go smoothly. Then only countries will flourish. If country will flourish, automatically the benefits will percolate to the family. If the benefit percolates to the family, the family members ultimately will be beneficiaries. So this is second principle. Trade without free trade is the second principle of WTO. This principle is there in all 60 agreements. Trade without discrimination is there in all 60 agreements. Free trade principle is there in all 60 agreements. That is the reason we are studying as a principle uniformly, commonly applicable to all 60 agreements under WTO system. So there, I told you. So the very purpose of the 8 rounds of trade negotiations took place, 8 rounds of trade negotiations. The very purpose of all these trade negotiations, the 8 rounds of trade negotiation, is only one agenda: lifting the trade barriers, removing the trade barriers phase-wise, from time to time. Ultimately, the goal is free trade, trade for all people, accessibility to all people without any discrimination. So discrimination is a hateful thing to all countries in all systems. So nobody will accept the trade with discrimination. Everybody wants free trade and free system of trade. Next one is, look here, only 5-6 principles are there, very simple principles without any complications. Then this third one is predictability with binding commitments or promises and transparency. So binding commitments. So what do you mean by binding commitments? So all countries, 165 countries, they signed the WTO agreement, 60 agreements. They committed themselves, they will do certain things as per the norms of the WTO. Those commitments are there openly, they are in public domain. Every country, every trader is accessible to that commitment, whatever made by all 65 states. Suppose as a trader I want to go to China and do business in China, I can see WTO domain on the WTO website what the Chinese commitment is, what their reservations are, how safe my investment is if I go to China and do the business, and I can predict the things to come in this Chinese territory when I go there. I saw predictability. I can predict the things very easily because they have committed themselves. Chinese government committed itself through writing. In trade negotiations, I will do this, I will not do this. I have reservation for this principle. All these things are available on WTO website. Therefore, a trader can easily predict what is going to happen in a particular country, what is the policy of the Indian government, how safe it is. Suppose how safe to go to India to invest money in India. All these things I can easily predict because everything is transparent. Everything, all commitments, whatever promises made by all 165 states, they are available in the public domain. No hiding of principles, no concealment of principles. Everything is transparent. That should be the system of WTO. That the WTO preaches the principle of transparency. No hiding of things, no concealment of things. Everything, every principle, every commitment should be accessible to everybody. That is the purpose, basic principle of these things. So therefore, then everything is kulla, everything is accessible. You can easily download this information, read the information, and you can make up my mind how safe your investment is if you go to a particular country, invest money in that particular country. do business in that particular country. This is the third principle. Third principle is predictability. We can easily predict what is going to happen. That predictability you can easily imagine because of the signing of all 60 agreements and because of the principle of transparency advocated by the WTO system. Promoting competition. WTO system promotes competition. Without fair competition, no growth. No struggle, no growth. No competition, no growth. Wherever competition is there, growth will happen. So all of you are competing with each other. He is competing with him. He is competing with him. Every step of life, we are competing with others. In case of admissions, in case of employment, in case of other opportunities, government benefits, we compete with others. Through competition, we get some benefit from the government agencies. Similarly, countries also like to compete with each other. So competition is not a bad thing. So competing with others is a good thing. It develops you. Struggle is progress. No, struggle is progress. No struggle, no progress. There are certain countries in the world, there are certain socialist countries where struggle was not there. That's why all countries automatically disappeared from the map. Take for example USSR, United Socialist Soviet Russia. That country is no longer there. Only Russia is there. It was a big country. It's where USSR was a big country. So many states are there. In 1989, it broke into pieces. It broke into 15 republics, independent countries, because no competition, no business, no jobs. Aisa system tha. Socialist states all completely failed. All socialist states completely failed. All socialist states. Therefore, all the countries, socialist countries, they became disintegrated. Yugoslavia, best example. Czechoslovakia, they are no longer there in the map because no competition. They were not allowing competition. Entire economy was controlled by the state in socialist economies. No market economy. People are not allowed to trade with each other. Unless people are not allowed to trade with each other, compete with each other, things will not happen. Growth will not happen. So that's why all those socialist states subsequently, they also adopted market economy. Now China is preaching market economy, advocating market economy. Russia already doing this. Yugoslavia became 5 republics. All 5 republics, they adopted market economy. Czechoslovakia also the same thing. All market economies. Entire world is moving towards privatization and marketing. That's why Indian government is also slowly privatizing all these sectors. We are blaming the government. Modi's government, he has sold LIC, he has sold banks, he has sold railways, he has sold this, he has sold that type. That selling is not because of him. Entire world, all countries are moving towards market economies, private economies. Government of India is also committed at the international level that they will open these economies. They will decentralize. They will deregularize all the sectors, allowing foreigners to come in and trade business with the Indian people, competing with Indian tradesmen. That's the purpose of moving towards privatization. All countries like America, Canada, Australia, France, Germany, already long back, they are market economies. They flourished well. South Korea, all are market economies. So taking a leaf from those countries, now all socialist countries are also following marketing towards marketing economy, including India. India has no exception except moving towards privatization. In the coming days, you don't get any government jobs. Remember, only private jobs, except 1 or 2 sectors, except 1 or 2 departments with the central government. All departments are going to be privatized sooner or later. No escape from this. Because postal department, railways, LIC, banks, everything slowly deregularize, free economy. That's the purpose. Accept jobs, private jobs, and do the things. Private jobs are more entertaining than public jobs. Public jobs में all lazy fellows. सुनो, not dynamic people. They don't clean their own table. इतना lazy है. Don't join in public jobs and government jobs. Don't crave for the government jobs. Nobody will be there to bring a glass of water to you. All are lazy, lazy, lazy. Accept private jobs even if some risk is there. Accept work, ready to work willingly. Then you get the benefit. Once the management finds that you are a good worker, they will take you to the top positions. They will take you to the top positions, keeping the rules aside. Rules do not matter for the private sector and private management. Only work matters. If you are a good worker, no limit for your growth. That is the reality of private sector and public sector. समझ में आया? Yes, yes. I worked in both sectors. So the encouraging, therefore, the one more thing is competition law. Competition is there. Fair competition is encouraged throughout country, all countries. Across all country, competition, fair competition is the principle. That's why India passed a law in 2015. What is that law? Competition Act. ऐसा है ना? Competition Act is there. Before 2015, there was no competition law. Because to encourage fair competition in public services, competition law is enacted legislated by the Parliament of India. Not only in India, in all other countries, competition law is a new legislation, new piece of legislation. But UK also, everywhere, all countries follow WTO system only. They don't go idhar-udhar, they don't go. Ultimately, WTO is the monitoring every country. Whether they are following WTO principles or not, whether trade is open for all people or not. This is what they are going to monitor regularly through trade review committee, trade review committees. So that's the reason. This is the fourth principle. Promoting fair competition is also one of the best principles or basic principles, central principle of WTO system. And next principle is, fifth principle is, ultimately all these principles encouraging, all these agreements encouraging economic growth, economic development. The purpose of WTO is, establishment of WTO is prosperity to all people in the world, prosperity. That's why don't leave the trade field. You stay in the trade field, get the benefits, enjoy the benefits, reap the benefits by staying together, by staying in the field. Trade is an important thing. Just now I gave the slogan, trade benefits everywhere, every time, every minute, all people. So that's why you dream of these benefits and stay there. I am the live example. Yesterday also I was boasting about myself. Actually, I was a bank officer. Now turned to a trade law teacher, teaching, or even teaching on full-time basis after retirement from the bank. So therefore, you can reap benefits like me by staying long time in the trade field. As I want to work as long as possible until I am physically strong. Tab tak I work, I get the benefit, I earn money. That's the purpose. So similarly, you can also make up your mind. You can also make good efforts, put in good efforts to stay longer period in the trade. So therefore, you select corporate jobs and get the benefits. Corporates, they pay very well. And your office also full of ambience. Office full of ambience. If you go to government job, I told you, no sweeper, no cleanliness, no water, all lazy fellows. So you don't join with the lazy fellows. Try to work hard and get the benefit. That should be your mindset, positive mindset. So this is the ultimate development. I repeat all the five principles. The first principle is trade without discrimination. The second principle is free trade. Trade must be allowed to flow freely, smoothly, without obstacles, without barriers. The third principle is, what is the third principle? Predictability and transparency. The fourth principle is, competition. Fifth principle is encouragement of economic development. All these principles are there in all 60 agreements. That's why these principles are considered to be fundamental to the WTO system. Even if all these agreements, each of the agreement deals with a different subject matter of all these agreements different from one another. This is the one more important topic under WTO system. Now let us see one more topic. What is this? We have 40 minutes time. Okay. That open करो दाल उन्नत dispute settlement. WTO principles of dispute settlement. No. Yes. Principles of Come on, please be silent. So one more important topic is settlement mechanism, dispute settlement mechanism. So wherever money is there, listen carefully. Wherever money is there, wherever property is involved, disputes are bound to arise. International trade involving huge amounts of money, not small amounts of money. It's an export to trade, import to trade. It's an international trade, moving of goods from one country to other country in bulk. Bulk means real bulk. Selling goods in bulk to the importing country. So therefore, amount involved in all international transactions, very, very big amount. Wherever amount is there, big amount is there. Wherever money is involved, wherever property is involved, we are all human beings, self-centered, selfish in nature. Naturally, we try to dispute with others. We try to enter into quarrels with others. Entering into quarrels with others is not a bad quality. समझ में आया? It's not a bad quality. It is a tendency, human nature. Not only human nature, even animals also. If you open Discovery Channel, animals also quarrel. They fight with each other. Similarly, human beings also, living beings, selfish living beings. Because we are all selfish beings, naturally we try to quarrel. We try to put forward our point of view with the other opponent, with the opponent. This happens. This is a natural quality of all human beings. Therefore, international trade, because involving a big amounts of money, high stakes, naturally disputes are bound to arise. When disputes arise in a particular trade transactions, how to resolve the dispute is a big worry for all the countries. Fortunately, WTO system comprises this dispute settlement mechanism, which was not the case under GATT. There was no dispute settlement system. Trade disputes were left to the choice of the parties themselves, to the seller and the buyer, to the exporter and importer. You settle your dispute. That was the system adopted open system adopted under GATT. but open system is not there under WTO. WTO में there is a special system devised under WTO system. This system is called dispute settlement mechanism. So, under the dispute settlement mechanism, WTO helps monitors, helping and monitoring the parties disputants to settle their dispute amicably, without contest, without heating, without hot arguments, only by negotiations, by consultations, by negotiations, by consultations, by mediation, by arbitration, not by contest. That is the purpose of this dispute settlement mechanism. So, like everybody likes this mechanism. First time, this kind of mechanism was devised only in WTO system, but not in any other system. Fortunately, all countries are accepting this system as binding. They are not disputing. They are not, countries are not disputing. They are accepting whatever principles are there, dispute settlement mechanism. Those principles countries are accepting. They are gracefully complying with the orders passed, award given by the dispute settlement body. Let us see who will take decisions, how the matters shall be executed by the dispute settlement body. There is a body called dispute settlement body. So who is the dispute settlement body? What is the dispute settlement body? Let us see what it is. So when how dispute arises between countries, just like dispute arises between two individuals, countries also quarrel. Interestingly, disputes arise between countries. So because of several reasons, maybe political reasons, economic reasons, some other reasons, whatever be the reasons. Reasons are not material. The fact is, countries also quarrel like individuals quarrel. So when individual like countries quarrel, this is the most. This is what it is. So countries quarrel when one country believes the other country is violating the principles of GATT or WTO. So WTO, I told you, there are 60 agreements. All these 60 agreements, because they are legally binding agreements, all these 60 agreements, what is when they are validly signed, what will happen? Suppose agreement is validly signed, what is its legal effect? Yesterday I was telling, when agreement is validly signed, it creates certain obligations to the parties, it creates the rights to the parties. Here also, all the WTO agreements, so even if they are multilateral agreements, they create rights to the parties, to all countries. They create obligation for all the countries. So all the countries are supposed to discharge their duties, obligations without any escape. Similarly, all the countries are allowed to enjoy the benefits given under the WTO system. Sometimes a country, even if committed itself that it will discharge certain obligations, it is not ready, or it may not be ready to discharge its obligation. When a country is not ready to discharge its obligations committed by itself, naturally what will happen? Breach happens. Breach to the agreement, a particular agreement. Out of 60 agreement, some agreement will be breached by the non-action or wrongful action of a particular country. When a country allows some friend, what are you doing? What are you indulged in? When a country doesn't discharge its obligations under a particular agreement, naturally what will happen? Agreement gets breached. When agreement gets breached, somebody will be affected by the breach. Some country will be affected. The country which is affected by the breach, it has got the opportunity to go to WTO before settlement body, dispute settlement body, and by making a complaint. So when complaint is placed before the dispute settlement body, how it decides that complaint is the topic, scope of the topic we are going to learn. So this is the first step. There are steps in the settlement process. Let us see all the basic steps to be followed by the complainant, state. There will be two states. One state is complainant, the other state is respondent state. Complainant state and respondent state. Complainant will file the complaint before the WTO settlement body. and when the complaint is filed, the other party has to respond. That's why it's called respondent. This basic thing you already know it. So this is the slide. You read the slide. General counsel is the general counsel. What is the general counsel? Just now I have explained to you. Ministerial conference is the highest body of in the WTO structure. Similarly, general counsel is the second highest body. So second highest decision making body. Even if it's the second highest decision making body, general counsel also discharges by acting as a convener to the dispute settlement body. Double role, dual role. First one is implementing role. Whatever decisions taken by the ministerial conference, general counsel will implement those things. Second role is it convenes, it is a convener for the WTO dispute settlement body. Double role it plays, general counsel. Therefore, general counsel is the convener of dispute settlement body. General counsel may, who are the members of general counsel? All 165 states are members of WTO, are the members of the general counsel. What this WTO, what this dispute settlement body do? What does it do? All these things. What are these? These are the things. These are the things dispute settlement body will do. Will discharge. First one is it establishes dispute settlement panel, and also it refers the matters to the arbitration. Third one is adopting the panel's report and also appellate body's report, arbitrator's report. And it maintains surveillance and implementation of recommendations contained in the rulings and reports. In the rulings contained in the reports. The fifth and last one is it suspends the concessions in the event of non-compliance by any member state with the recommendations made by the recommendations made or rulings made. So these are the five jobs dispute settlement body discharges. First, once again I read out, listen carefully, all the five jobs which a dispute settlement body discharges. Job of dispute settlement body. Dispute settlement body is convened by the general counsel. Once again I am repeating. General counsel is the second highest decision making body, consisting of all 165 states as members. So the first job of dispute settlement body is it establishes dispute settlement panels. Dispute settlement panel. What do you mean by panel?
అవును.